The Andy Warhol BMW M1. Let me ask you about that. Do you believe something like that vehicle is valuable as a car and as art? And could it be even more valuable than that Mercedes-Benz?
No, I don't think it's as valuable. Just my personal opinion. That's a little, it's hard to say. Obviously it has more value because of Warhol than there's lots of just M1s out there. You know, we sold a Porsche, you know, that Janis Joplin had that, you know, had been painted up, and obviously that car, the ownership, and I think what the car looked like is why obviously it commanded so much money, because that was a $150,000 car without any of that, and we sold it for, you know, close to $2 million. So I'd say that the art makes that car obviously more valuable than, you know, the car itself, and it's very famous and well known as, you know, I think people seeing a 300 SL Gullwing, right? I think even non-car people know what that car is, and I would say that M1 could probably be in the same class as that.
It's funny, through the years I've seen my share of sales that are associated with Steve McQueen.
Yeah.
Anything that Steve McQueen was a part of, if Steve McQueen sat in the car, it was going for 50% higher than it should have. What do you make of that phenomena? I mean, he didn't do that many movies that most remember.
He's just, you know, I'd say one of the most famous movie stars that was into owning great cars, right? I think it's like Clark Gable of the 30s. Clark Gable owned some amazing pre-war classics.
We saw one in Bruce Meyer's collection.
Yeah, and you know, Steve McQueen's just the guy for owning Lusos and Cal Spiders and 930 turbos, and he just had cool cars, and he was, you know, a cool movie star of the era, and we've sold several cars that he owned, and, you know, I think they bring 5 to 7 times what a normal one does. So it's hard for me to, you know, say why that happens, but we've proven it several times now, so it's just kind of one of those things.
Before we get back to this interview, I want to say that this episode is brought to you by Connected by Reynolds & Reynolds. If you want to hear great conversations and Greg Ulan going deep with guests on everything from used car acquisitions to finding your niche and selling to it, I recommend adding Connected to your podcast rotation. Now let's get back to my interview.
Is there anyone today that could command that kind of attention in the future? Will, if we talk about present day movies, will a Tom Cruise owned vehicle eventually be a Steve McQueen like?
I don't know about that. You know, Michael Schumacher comes to mind as somebody that owns some great road cars, and, you know, his cars would command, you know, a tremendous amount of money over a standard, whatever it may be. Movie star wise, I'm unsure. I think there's just a shift in things now, and I don't know how important that, you know, becomes anymore. For sure, it may apply to a couple people. I think I just saw a Porsche sell that was Denzel Washington's, right? And did that bring a little bit of a premium online? Yeah, of course it did. It was coming straight from him, and I think it's a cool story to tell. I wouldn't mind, you know, owning a car that he had, or somebody else famous, but I don't know about it bringing that kind of, if there's somebody out there now that could bring the kind of premium that a Steve McQueen did.
How does the collector car market, in your mind, Gord, reflect the real consumer market?
It's you know, I think because of the clientele we deal with, our market doesn't seem to be affected by what's, you know, going on in the rest of the world for the type of clientele we deal with, and you would think that values would slow down or people wouldn't be into buying this, you know, the kinds of things that we offer, but I think a lot of people are looking for different places to put money into a safe place, and, you know, you get to drive and touch and show these kind of cars, so it's, you know, a lot of fun to have, you know, what can be an investment, and you get to play with it at the same time.
Yeah, a lot of talk in the industry about switch to EVs, maybe, you know, autonomous vehicles at some stage. Do you believe there will always be a collector car market as we edge into those new segments?
Yeah, this is a conversation I have with my wife all the time, and obviously it's important that people still want this stuff because of my job. But yeah, it's always going to be around. There's always going to be a love for these kind of cars, and I guess we'll see over the next 20 years how it goes. But yeah, people still like old artwork, old furniture, old boats. Like, it'll always kind of be around and exist.